following takes place between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a fantastic Monday edition of Full Press Coverage Radio Live. It is November the 25th, 2019, and I am Ian Glendon, and I am joined, as always, by my man, Mr. Mike Debate. Mike, how we doing today?
Hello,
La, la, la.
Doing well, my friend. Monday morning, Thanksgiving week. Very thankful to be on the microphone, especially sharing the microphone with you, my good buddy. But
Of course.
you know what? Great weekend in the NFL. A lot of sports news as always. And this is an action-packed week. I know a lot of people have the week off. They're doing preparations, getting your turkeys, cooking everything, getting everything ready. Throw on a little bit of FPC Radio Live. I guarantee you guys will love it. It's the perfect way to cook your turkey and listen to Ian and I talk about old 80s stuff that no one wants to hear.
That's right. That's right. And right on cue, this is a perfect time to say this is just That's right. Well, that went on a little bit longer than I thought. We got a little bit of the instrumental too, but yes, it is. It's a little bit of a manic Monday, and we love.
Yes, it is.
We love Mondays around here because we get to react to so much stuff, stuff.
Yeah, a little tidbit on that song before I don't want to derail you too much, but a little tidbit on that song. Do you know who wrote that song? The Bengals did it. I think a lot of people are probably screaming at their radios or whoever's listening right now.
I'm gonna take a very uneducated guess because he's written a lot of songs that no one knows about, but I'll say Prince.
You seldom wrong and right again, my friend. Prince Rogers Nelson was the person that wrote that song. He was actually dating the lead singer of the Bengals at the time and actually wrote that one and part of Walk Like an Egyptian. So it's pretty amazing that those songs are a part of his catalog as well. So deep, so just incredible. Huge fan, huge loss for the music world when he passed away, without any question. I don't think we all realized just how good of a musician, how complete of a musician Prince was till he wasn't here anymore. And unfortunately, that's the case with a lot. But yes, Prince did write that song, and that was his.
I'll be honest, that was a complete random guess, but it was, like I said, I prefaced that with an uneducated guess. That was actually a fairly educated guess. And, here's the thing, this is what I thought of when I said, this is likely something that he wrote that no one knows about. It's like now I'm blanking on the artist, her name. Nothing Compares to You. And,
Sinead O'Connor.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, she made the song famous and all that, but guess what? That, too, was also written by Prince. And, not too many people know that. But, hey, we're not here to talk about Prince because, yes, we would probably get sued. And I know I will not be playing any of his clips. So, no, hey, look, I love Prince, too. And we will certainly, anytime we get a chance to bring it up, we'll definitely talk about that. But, hey, look. This is what we do. We didn't even plan that, but that was a great little musical, historical lesson right there, right in front of your very eyes and possibly just your ears. So, no, look, we're here to talk about sports because that's what we claim to be experts on, and don't dispute us on that because it is what it is. We're experts. That's what we say. But yeah, we had a lot of great games this weekend. A lot of huge implications of for certain things. One of the things I want to get off my chest real quick before we really dive into it, man, I am disappointed in the Raiders. I really am. I'm telling you, I was so amped to be able to look forward to a Raiders-Chiefs divisional matchup today or this upcoming week, but it's not going to happen. I mean, it's still going to be the division will still be in the mix when the Chiefs and the Raiders face this upcoming week. But I was hoping for a 7-4 and 7-4, and For those of you listening on Full Press Radio, yes, I once again forgot to click the right button. Unfortunately for my friend Mike, Mike was so kind to let me know when his friends chime in and let us know when we're not live. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, you just missed a fantastic little musical intro that we did, and you're just gonna have to go back and watch it and listen for the replay at 2 p.m. But look, the Raiders disappointed me. I'll just say it.
They absolutely did. They disappointed me as well. And look, it's tough for me to sit here and to talk about having to give credit to the Jets. It's a good thing I took a mouthful of coffee before I said that. But, credit them. They came in, they did what they needed to do, took care of business, and they took it to the Oakland Raiders yesterday. And yeah, the Raiders definitely let me down. I was hoping for a victory for them yesterday to keep that AFC West alive and to keep that back and forth. Falling to 6-5 now. Now we're looking at probably a difficult road ahead for them. Not impossible, but difficult. And you have to wonder if they put out an effort like that against the Jets, can they rebound from it? Now I think they can, but a lot's going to have to break their way. And sometimes a loss like that this late in the season can make or break you. There are a lot of different ways that could possibly go. So we'll see what happens with the Oakland Raiders. But disappointing effort yesterday. I really feel like there was just something off with that team all day yesterday.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because again, the Chiefs, Chiefs are obviously not having the type of season they expected to. So the division is certainly there for the taking, but we'll have to see if that it comes to fruition if they can get it back together these last few weeks because the Chiefs certainly have a pretty tough road ahead themselves. So it's certainly not out of the question. But some other top headlines from the weekend. Frank Gore. I mean, if you would have told me whatever it was 15, 16 years ago in his college days that he was going to become the third leading rusher of all time, I probably wouldn't have guessed it given his injury history. And here he is, ageless wonder Frank Gore passing Barry Sanders yesterday, who was third all-time rushing in NFL history with 15,268 yards. Frank Gore now is alone in the number 3 spot, and he'll likely not catch Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith because he's about 1,500 and about 3,000 yards away respectively. But hats off to Frank Gore. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
It truly is. And, one of the great guys in professional sports as well, in terms of the way he conducts himself and what has gone on there. So, you always look at a guy like this and say, longevity plays a part in it as well, but perseverance and raw ability plays a natural part in it as well. So kudos to Frank Gore on a great milestone. It was nice that Barry Sanders gave the video tribute and video message and thanks and appreciation to him. I know that had to mean a lot to him coming from one of the best runners I've ever seen live. I mean, Peyton was nearing the end of his career just as I was starting to come into football consciousness, and Barry was the guy that I was a very young kid growing up watching and just thinking, wow, he's just so dynamic. That guy is incredible. He can just do it all. And Gore is a different type of runner, but no less prolific and, no less in terms of accomplishments. So great accomplishment for him. Big win for the Bills yesterday. It was a good day in Buffalo for them. They're getting separation now from some of the wild card entrants in the AFC, and they're going to need it. They're coming up against probably their toughest schedule, their toughest part of their schedule, I should say. They're facing teams over 500 for the first time now. They only have one win against a 500 team, and that comes against the Titans. So this is going to be a make or break type for the Buffalo Bills. We'll see what they're made out of, but they keep racking up wins and they keep putting up a march to the postseason.
And another team that's kind of in that wild card mix, a little bit surprisingly, benched their quarterback yesterday, and that was the Steelers. Sat Mason Rudolph. Obviously, he was in the news last week because of all the the ruckus, after the fact towards the end of the game, but he was not good yesterday. He got benched, and Delvin Hodges, they call him Duck, I guess that's the thing. He likes duck hunting. If you weren't listening to the broadcast and you didn't hear it the 76 times that they said it, but he loves duck hunting, and he came in and he played well and led the Steelers to victory. Now, again, I say they're in the playoff mix because they're still in the wild card mix, but they struggle to beat the Bengals, a winless team, so that who knows how legitimate this playoff race is for them. But hats off to them so far this season, doing what they're doing, playing with their third string quarterback at this point and dealing with everything that they're doing to even be in this conversation right now is a credit to Mike Tomlin. And if you know me, I hate giving credit to Mike Tomlin because I think look, I think he's a really good coach and one of the best in the league. I just think that speaks more to the collection of coaches in this league than it does really to his ability. I think he's good at a few, really good at a few things. He's not my style of coach. I'd rather, obviously, I come from watching guys like Bill Belichick and some of the other great coaches throughout some of the other Boston sports in this league, and I'm more of the I'll go with the stoic, business first type guy, and Mike Tomlin seems like more of the rah players coach type guy. So again, it's just preference. And but anyway, so I don't always give Mike Tomlin credit, but you have to give him credit for this season so far. I mean, it just Steelers, again, even being in the conversation right now, so speaks volumes to what he's been able to do. So speaking of the Patriots, and I think I mentioned them, but if not, well, guess what? I'm bringing them up. I honestly, I don't.
We all know very, very well here on Full Press Radio Live.
17th consecutive winning season for the Patriots, secured last night. I'm sorry, it was actually secured last week, but 10 win season, first 10 straight years of at least 10 wins or more for the Patriots. They, of course, last week secured their 17th consecutive winning season, so the beat keeps going for the team up in New England.
Absolutely. Another milestone reached for the Patriots yesterday, 18 consecutive regular season wins at Gillette Stadium. Yes. So, they're dominant at home, and there's something about teams that go in there to play. You saw it with the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. Yes, I know people are going to talk about the weather. The weather was terrible in Foxborough yesterday. Really awful conditions, cold, wet, rainy, windy, just everything that you could possibly not want to play in is what those guys played in yesterday. But the fact of the matter is that team still holds court at home. They find a way to do it. Rob Gronkowski said it in his halftime
so
analysis on Fox Sports. So eloquently, yes, because he wasn't reading off of a prompter in the least. And no, I love Rob. I just can't bring myself to really take a crack or take a shot at him. That's how much I love Rob Gronkowski. But in any case, it was a little, contrived, but he was very accurate in what he said. And that is, the Patriots absolutely practice in every type of weather, and you saw it yesterday. They just were a little bit more prepared. Now, they had drops and they had difficulties with the weather just like the Cowboys did, but they were more used to it. They were more prepared for it. That comes from coaching, and that's really, I think, what won the game for the Patriots yesterday. It was coaching, game planning. They were right on the money when it came to special teams coverage. You saw Dallas make so many unnecessary penalties yesterday, whether it was the tripping call, which, by the way, was the right call. I'm getting bombarded with Dallas fans that are
I would say the second
Patriots,
one. Yeah. The second one was. I was going to say the second one was probably more. I could sit there and I understand why people are griping, especially about the first one, and the second one though it's people are like, oh, he didn't really. It's like, no, the kind of the premise of it is extending your leg outside of your, like if you're a lineman, you're trying to move over and you have to take certain, steps across. You can't just like stretch your leg out and to try to make up for it, because again, that puts the other player, it makes them vulnerable. And obviously,
right.
Again, you don't want to argue the degree. I mean, obviously he didn't like kick his leg out and, classic, like a Three Stooges type trip, but
yeah.
In this case, I mean, it still affected him, so you can gripe all you want about it. I mean, it is what it is. The first one, I understand, it was kind of a poor play, a poor call.
Yeah, that one I will give you. That one was a little bit more. I think you definitely have an argument, and you want to go back and forth. That's probably it. Mm-hmm. But the second one is what seems to be because it was later in the game, and I think that's simply because of the timing and what it meant in terms of the stakes. But credit the New England Patriots for coming in, shutting down the number one offense in the NFL. And yes, did the weather play a factor in that? Yes, it did. But also, you have to give credit to that defense, particularly two guys that really played well yesterday. Stephon Gilmore continues. You've said this number of times, Ian. I completely agree with you. I've said it a number of times. I think Stephon Gilmore right now is your de facto defensive player of the year in the NFL. I think he's been that good this year. And the other guy that I think is making a tremendous challenge for that as well is Jamie Collins, who was absolutely a beast yesterday, all over the field, 9 total tackles. Just a great day for the Patriots defense in terrible conditions. They did exactly what they had to do. And that's why the Patriots are 10-1 right now. Great defense, timely special teams, and just enough offense to make the world go. And I know a lot of people want to harp on this offense and they want to absolutely, hang them in effigy, but they weren't as bad as people are purporting it to be yesterday. They had a lot of factors going against them. I won't bore you with all the details because we've got a lot of action to get to, but let's just say that New England Patriots offense will get better, and I think you're going to see it starting this week.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, again, we're not going to harp too much on the Patriots because we will have plenty of their stuff to talk about over this next week or so. But I was very impressed with what I saw from them, even through the struggles. I've never seen, even in New England, I feel like I've never seen a team have 3 games so greatly affected by rain. I mean, not just like drizzle, not just like raining, but like torrential downpours to the point of like, hey, this is, every time it panned to the big camera, you saw the water build up on the camera. It's like you don't usually get that for an entire game, but that's what we were dealing with yesterday in New England. So a big win for the Patriots, obviously. They moved to 10-1. The 49ers last night dominating win against the Packers. Tough news for the Packers. Brian Bulaga, one of their tackles, went out. He didn't return to the game. He looked quite banged up. I think he was dealing with a knee injury, they said. We'll get back to that game in just a minute, but some other injury news. Dontario Poe, defensive tackle, Panthers, he also left with a knee injury. Hunter Renfrow had a he left as well in the Raiders' tough loss. He's been a big key factor for that offense. And Dwayne Haskins picked up his first victory, but he also had he was in a sling for his wrist apparently, but he says he's going to be okay. So, things to monitor, things to keep an eye on. What'd you think about, real quick, what'd you think about apparently Dwayne Haskins missing the last snap of the game because he was taking a selfie?
I think it's a sign of the times.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
No,
that's a sign of the times. I think that that's just I think the best way to put it. I mean, social media is king. I mean, you see all these teams, and they're sitting there taking post game photos and they pose in the end zone, and there were this is nothing new. I mean, before anybody starts saying okay boomer, first of all, I'm far from being a boomer, but second of all, I'm not that old, and second of all, it's just there have been hot dog celebrations for a number of years. I mean, we saw it started with but we saw Deion Sanders really become the first that I remember to really ham it up when it came to a lot of the celebrations. He'd start celebrating early before he got into the end zone, and then you saw guys like Joe Horn and Ocho Cinco take it to a next step. But there's certain things that just you have to control yourself when it comes to that. Those are after, in the heat of the moment. This was right in the thick of action, and that becomes an issue. That's got to be something that he's. Yeah, I'm sorry. I
was going to say before I didn't want to. I want to stay on this point. I would take that over what the Eagles did, and I said this during the game.
Exactly. And that's something that I think you can definitely make the argument. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're down. Well, I'll be honest. Like, I don't want to sound like a get off my lawn type of guy, but yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of these like coordinated group celebrations. Like, every so often I enjoy it. Like last week, lineman, I can't remember who Quentin Nelson, the Colts scored a touchdown, and they did like the keg stand, and I get that. That's kind of cool. I understand. I mean, I still am not a huge like fan of these, but it's like they're a lineman, and it's like you only score like once in your entire lifetime, so you got to kind of take advantage of it. But in particular, I hate them when you're down 17-3. And yes, you made a play defensively, but the Eagles, guess what? I mean, you just don't do that. I mean, I'm sitting here laughing at the TV screen watching them do this. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're down 17-3 right now in the fourth quarter, and you're going to go and do a group shot down in the end zone because you made a play. How about you high five, get off the field, and hope your offense can do something, because they weren't doing jack for you the entire game.
Yeah, and there is a reason why they came up on the short end of the stick yesterday. It's because they simply did not come out. All right, they faced a very, very talented Seattle Seahawks team, and there's no question about it. I bought into the Eagles hype a little bit. I thought they were going to come into this game prepared, ready to go, and I thought they were actually going to get the victory. Obviously that didn't work out the way it did, but yeah, there's something to be said about having these celebrations. I mean, we see it, and switching gears and switching sports, we see it in baseball. How many people up here in New England get irate when they play Sweet Caroline during the seventh inning stretch and the Red Sox are getting murdered in a game? It really is. It's something where you
I just
look
hate
at
the
it
song
and you say,
in general.
well,
the whole thing. I wish they just get rid of it, but
Yeah, it's become more of a tourist thing than anything else. The true fans, I think, are pretty much, unless you're 10 sheets to the wind, which a lot of people are when they go to Fenway. But the other factor in that as well is that it's really, I think, more of the outside appeal now for first timers that are coming there. I want to do the Sweet Caroline. Well, yeah, good for you. Yeah. That's great.
I'll pass.
But we've seen this erosion start to continue over the course of the last couple of years. Again, I know we come back to the Patriots, but I was covering the game last year when the Indianapolis Colts decided to pose midfield and take a photo. And I remember tweeting out a photo during that game and saying, someone needs to remind this team that there's still a quarter and a half left to be played in this game. And the Patriots just went scorched earth on them for the rest of the way. And they dominated. Brady ended up scoring, putting the ball through, and they won that game. It's knowing when to do it and knowing when not to do it. And I think that's really,
sorry.
Yep, absolutely. That's great. No, sing it. For those of you that,
I don't have the sound
clip. Ian is superimposing the image that you're seeing on Sportscaster right now. He's actually rocking out with the acoustic guitar, and he's rocking it right now.
You're giving me far too much credit. I was someone who in 6th grade got moved to chorus because I couldn't figure out how to set up my snare drum. And that was it. That was the last time I ever attempted an instrument, because that was about the 17th time.
Yeah.
That's about the 17th time I failed.
I was practically born with a snare drum in my hand. So, I've played the drums for a good number of years. That's the rest of the instruments. Yeah, not so much. I can get by on the piano. I know the chords. I know how to bang out something, but it's just, you don't want to hear me play any other instruments.
Yeah,
you definitely don't want to hear me sing either.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, we'll see. I mean, depends on what I've been drinking, whether or not I want to hear what you want to sing. But no, I
might be making an appearance later on the show.
Hey! Don't give away too much. Don't give away too much now. Settle down now. We got some surprises later this week. No,
all right. I'll take it.
We're gonna have some fun. We're actually gonna cut the week short. I'm assuming, Mike, we talked about this, but I think we're gonna no-go on Thursday because, of course, it's Thanksgiving. So we want everyone to enjoy their Thanksgiving. We will certainly be on next month for Festivus, though. You can guarantee that.
There will be a Festivus show.
Yes, we will not be taking Festivus off. Actually, this is how we celebrate Festivus. Actually. So where was I? I don't even know where I was on this.
We were talking about post game and touchdown.
Oh, right. Okay,
in-game celebrations and things of that nature.
Yeah, well, we started singing and ripping back and forth, so I got distracted.
Yeah,
but
and then Rodney just came around.
Yeah.
He just showed his head.
I've been trying to tell him, just relax, calm down, get ready for later in the week, and whatever, but he can't help himself.
Okay, no problem. I'll take it easy, because I never get upset.
Yes.
I never get physical. But I only get upset. But when I get upset, then he gets physical.
Well, how's your health, Rodney?
Oh, my health, I'll tell you. It all begins and ends with my mother. The moment I was born, the doctor slapped her. Oh, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine it. It's like I have no respect,
And I assure you, folks, that is really the late great Rodney Dangerfield. We have perfected the ability to bring people back from the dead. So. No,
but you don't want to see my teeth right now. It's terrible. Yes. My teeth are all brown. The other day, I went to the dentist. They said, "Doctor, my teeth are brown." He says, "Wear a yellow necktie."
All right, Mike. All right, well, Mike, come back, Mike. You still there? Take over the mic.
Here.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
Still here. Yep. Rodney just gave a little wave, and he headed back to wherever he's going. So that's good.
Okay, all right. Well, he's probably going to watch highlights from Week 12. So, because that's what we just had this past weekend. But yeah, so Other headline news, I guess. A couple things to keep note. Baker Mayfield had a pretty good game. 327 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh, oh, yeah. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. caught his first touchdown since week 2. That was pretty big. And Jarvis Landry had a revenge game against the Miami Dolphins, going for 10 catches on 148 yards. So I still don't believe in the Browns. I mean, it's just, they could go out and throw a stinker next week, and I wouldn't be shocked. So, but they are still in this race, if you want to call it. There's still some time for them to kind of get back into it, and depending on how some of these other teams do, like the Colts and Raiders and Steelers moving forward, they could find themselves right back into the mix. But yeah, big game for Baker Mayfield. Another big game from Michael Thomas. Now, talk about a guy who I mean, this guy never gets talked about he does. I mean, I'm not saying he never does, but not at the same frequency as guys like Odell Beckham Jr. or Julio Jones or so on and so forth. But Mike Thomas, man, 104 catches on the year already through 11 weeks. He's only the second player ever to have at least 100 catches through 11 weeks, and Marvin Harrison is the only other guy, and he's still right now on pace to break his record of 143 catches in a season. So incredible stuff from Mike Thomas. He's awesome.
No, he really is. And I mean, you heard Sean Payton in his post game, say yesterday that he believes he should be in the mix for MVP. And you know what? For lack of a better term, I know wideouts don't tend to get a lot of credit when it comes to MVP race, but it's hard to ignore the season that he's having in New Orleans. Just tremendous. Really a great wide receiver, such a reliable receiver, and the pace that he's on is really just unbelievable. It speaks to a lot about his ability to prepare for games and to be able to adapt to situations. And don't forget, he's had to do this with 2 different quarterbacks. That's not easy to do. Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, guaranteed. He's practiced with these guys. He knows them, but that's not easy to do and make adjustments in game to be able to be as prolific as he's been and be as top of a reliable target as he's been, knowing he's done this with 2 different quarterbacks is really remarkable. So great season for him. No matter the accolades that he gets, I think he deserves it. And yeah, I mean, you can bandy his name about in the some of the information that you're seeing when it comes to MVP race and whatnot. I don't necessarily know if he'll win it. I pretty much guarantee he probably won't. Wideouts usually don't, but I think he deserves to at least have his name thrown out there every now and then because he has had a tremendous season.
No, and look, as unlikely as it is that a running back wins the MVP award, it's almost 10 times as unlikely that a wide receiver would. So, but that doesn't take anything away from what he's doing. What he's doing is just being simply the best receiver in the game right now, and I mean it's not even close at this point. Right. Another nice receiver accomplishment. Mike Evans, the Bucs, big victory for the Bucs yesterday. Mike Evans, 6 straight seasons of 1,000 yards to start his career. You know who's the only other receiver to do that?
Why don't you tell us?
Why don't you tell me what receiver it is?
Just tell me the name of the movie you'd like to see.
Yes, that's right. It is Randy Moss. And no, I'm not talking about the bald white guy on NFL Network. I'm talking about the Hall of Fame wide receiver, Randy Moss. So that's some pretty good company right there for him. Another really good under-the-radar great receiver, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. A guy that really doesn't get a whole lot of and of course we're talking about Mike Evans, not Randy Moss. There's a lot of accolades there, but well-deserved accolades for Randy Moss, Hall of Famer, and just, again, you want to talk about one of the more dynamic players you've ever seen at a position. I don't think I've ever, seen a guy with just the incredible athleticism of Randy Moss. And I know Jerry Rice technically is probably the more complete wide receiver, and I'd probably give him the slight nod, but Randy Moss was just an unbelievable athletic specimen, and just the stuff that he did was incredible. But with Mike Evans, I agree with you. This is a guy that doesn't get a whole lot of accolades all the time, and it really is because of the team that he plays for. And look, no, that's no knock to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have put together some nice seasons. I mean, they do have a Super Bowl title in Tampa. It's not like it's, the football abyss where, you go to just, where careers go to, to be put out to pasture. But I think a lot of it is because he hasn't had that national stage to perform on week in and week out. This is a guy that does his job, does it well. and again, just puts forth a great effort every week. So congratulations to him on that effort. I was really happy to see him get that nod yesterday as well, especially when Tampa was able to come away with the win.
And what's amazing too is not only do they have Michael Thomas, but they have Chris Godwin, who had an incredible one hand. I still don't know how the ball physically stayed on his hand last night, but he had this incredible one-handed touchdown grab, and he's another guy that just. If you're a Patriots fan, so you know the name because obviously the Patriots had a chance to draft him, and I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but I know his name has popped up, and each week he continues to emerge as one of the best receivers in the league. So, Tampa for all their flaws and everything like that, they can be a very exciting team to watch on offense.
Right.
Because hey, you never you never know who Jameis Winston's going to throw to, and I'm including the other team in this. So there's always some sort of momentum swinging play ready to be had when it comes to the Buccaneers on offense, and for a lot of reasons. So good for Mike Evans, good for Chris Godwin, and good for them for picking up a win, and good for Vita Vea, who became the heaviest guy. And I know some guys who like big guy touchdowns. Well, he became the heaviest guy, 347 pounds, to ever score a receiving touchdown. Second Bucs defensive tackle to ever do it, obviously. Warren Sapp scored 2 touchdowns, but Vita Vea yesterday, 347 pounds and 6 points on the scoreboard. So good for him. Good for him. I like seeing stuff like that. Especially seeing guys like Big Vince and obviously Mike Vrabel score a bunch of touchdowns and all that stuff in the past. I love that type. The one touchdown outside of say Gronk in Super Bowl 46 that just missed his fingertips. The one touchdown I wish the Patriots would have gotten was the Conley offensive lineman kick return that almost happened. It was close. It was close, but that would have been another big guy touchdown. That would have been nice.
Huge.
But
he was well deserving for a guy like Danny Connolly, who really
he was pretty fleet on his feet.
Exactly. He's still. I mean, I think they've talked to Connolly a number of times since then, and every time he prefaces that with, "I'm still catching my breath from that one." Yeah. So I think that speaks a lot to it. But yeah, that would have been a great one. That would have been one on the mental Rolodex of every Patriots fan. It still is to a lot of respect. Oh yeah, that would have really blown up if he had gotten in there. That would be on the highlight reel, no question.
Yeah, that would have been a highlight for all offensive linemen everywhere. So, not just for us fans, but okay. So we had a bunch of great games over the weekend. We've kind of touched on a few of them here. We had Sunday Night Football I want to talk about because, we do spend a lot of time talking about the Patriots, but there is another 10-1 team. And the more and more I watch the 49ers, the more impressed I am. And look,
without question.
And this isn't a knock on Jimmy G, but this team would be unstoppable with a tier 1 quarterback, so to speak. And this, again, this is not a knock on Jimmy Garoppolo because I think he's a really good quarterback. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, what if they had one of the Bradys or the Mannings or so on and so forth, leading that team in their prime? And I'm thinking, wow, that would be just unstoppable. But I mean, at the same time, Jimmy's been great. He's doing exactly what he needs to do, and he's coming up in big moments. Even if he doesn't have a good quarter here, a good quarter there, I mean, he'll come up and make the play when it counts. But last night was just a pure domination on the part of the 49ers. They held Aaron Rodgers in that offense to 41 yards passing in the first half. I mean, that's just awful. I mean,
exactly.
And this is something that I talked about on a little bit on Friday and then yesterday during the FPC NFL pregame show. I picked Rodgers to fumble the ball and throw 2 picks. Well, I was right about the fumble and I was pretty close about the picks, but the overall point that I was making was I thought this 49ers front was going to get after him, and that's exactly what happened. He gets touted as a very mobile quarterback, but he has, in my opinion, at this point in his career, pretty subpar pocket awareness when it comes to efficiently avoiding the rush. Like, he can run around and make plays that way, but all too often I feel like he's running and putting himself in danger, and we just saw it time and time again last night. He just not... putting himself in a bad position and not being able to make a play. And it was just a bad game for the Packers, who, again, I think continue each and every week to show that they're not this true Super Bowl contending team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Parcells has been quoted several times as saying, "You are what your record says you are." Packers came into this game as an 8-2 team, and you know what? For lack of a better term, that's exactly how it had to be approached. They're top tier. Everybody kept saying about the 49ers, well, they haven't really done it against the top tier. They went up against Seattle, they got beat. So, can they do it against the top tier team? Well, they did that against the top tier team last night, and they made them look fairly average. That's not an easy task for a Green Bay team that came in playing very well, both on offense and on defense. Again, that San Francisco defense just continues to improve week after week, and that's scary because they're already one of the more formidable defenses in the NFL right now. I think they're ranked number 2, right behind the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but
they're both 1 and 2 in pretty much every defensive category. So if it's the Patriots at 1, the 49ers are at 2, and if it's the 49ers at 1, the Patriots are probably at 2. So
so they're flip-flopping back and forth in a lot, and there's a lot of similarities to the way these guys play. Look, they have an extremely athletic linebacking core. They really have great defensive ends, guys that can rush the passer. They love to play in the 3-4. They can even switch and make a hybrid 4-3 on occasion. They've got a great secondary playing lockdown cornerback, with lockdown cornerback play. Safeties are playing very good. You have to give a lot of credit to the defensive coaching staff for the San Francisco 49ers. And credit to Kyle Shanahan, who's really, I think, done a great job putting that team in a position where they're not only able to succeed, but they truly believe their own hype, and it's warranted. This is not a situation where these guys are playing beyond their strengths. They're playing to their strengths, and that's something that you love to see from a team, especially this late in the season, come together and gel. That was a huge win for them last night.
Yeah, and again, they were just rolling on all facets, and I think we talked about it last week. The difference between the 49ers defense and the Patriots defense is, I think the 49ers strength is their front seven, whereas the Patriots, obviously, their strength is the secondary. That's not to say that either other team, the Patriots front seven and the 49ers secondary is a slouch. I mean, they have to be really good to be this good of a defense. But they both have unique. Or not unique, but different strengths in terms of units on the defensive side. So, look, it's far too early, and there's a lot of things that have to happen. But to me, with the one caveat being Baltimore kind of hanging in the wings, I feel like these two teams are so clearly the best two teams in the NFL. And that's with, again, you can sit here and frame the quarterback play all you want. I know at the end of the day, there's not a single guy I want under center to close out a game or win a game with one drive than Tom Brady. I don't care who it is. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Jesus. I don't even want him out there for a free play, let alone a game-winning drive. Okay, maybe that was a little bit harsh. Maybe I'm going a little bit overboard.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a little tad overboard.
No, yeah. I mean, we all know he's the best at the free, cheap play. I get it. It's gimmicky, and he's really good at it, and everyone's touts him for it, but no one seems to point out that you need to have a gimmick to gain chunk yardage. But hey, whatever. I can even slight him while complimenting him. But look, the quarterback play to me, it's for the Patriots. I feel like it's been such. I'm looking forward to the end result because I feel like so many people are just going to get baffled by what actually is what this offense is going to be. I think a lot of people are fooling themselves into thinking that Tom Brady is somehow not good anymore, or below average is the word that I hear quite a bit, when in fact I think, if anything, I think he's been getting better, and he had a really good game last night. And same with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, you can point to a few instances where, he made a bad throw and maybe it should have been picked off, or maybe he didn't play well in this game, but, time and time again, he's coming through in when he needs to, and I really, really, really want this to be the Super Bowl matchup. So I'm hoping I can will this to existence.
It would be an incredible story without any question. I mean, imagine the 2-week hype leading up to that, where you have the student versus the teacher, so to speak. Daniel-san versus
Yes.
Miyagi. I mean, there could be so many ways that you could spin this, and just the stories would be incredible, and then there wouldn't be any shortage of material heading up to the Super Bowl. But listen, there's a lot of football still to be played, and you alluded to it. The Baltimore Ravens are still hanging around. They are still a big-time threat to the New England Patriots in this conference. Now, head-to-head, if the Patriots and the Ravens were playing tonight, I still like the Patriots in that game. And a lot of people are probably going to roll their eyes and say, there he goes, being a homer. But second time around is usually a recipe for disaster when it comes to Bill Belichick, especially preparing for a younger quarterback that he's seen. And really, I think the Patriots took the Ravens' best punch in that game. I think they put their cards out on the table, and that's dangerous when you play a Bill Belichick coach team. But on the flip side, I think that there's also a lot to be said for the 49ers. There's the Saints. There's the Seahawks. There are teams that can challenge them as well. So a lot of football to be played, but you're right. These two are playing at such a high level right now.
Well, and to your point about the Ravens and Patriots game, and I made a comment. Excuse me, I made a comment about this. During the game, I thought they had an incredible fast 15-minute start to that game, the Ravens, and they were able to go up 17-0, and that was really, to me, the biggest part of the game. Because if you look at the rest of the three quarters, it wasn't this incredible blowout win. So that's where I'm with you when it comes to if we have to have a rematch. I think the Patriots are still the better team overall. I like I said, I think the Ravens just had a perfect set of 15 plays to start, and that's obviously generally what teams come into it. They kind of have an idea what they're going to do to start the game, and they just executed on all those plays, and hats off to them. They scored, and they put their foot to the gas, and that was that. So does that to me tell me that the Ravens are the best team in the NFL? No, not necessarily. I mean, what they're doing, yeah, they're right in that mix, but again, I can't. How can you bet against the Patriots? The team is 10-1. They're not even operating on full capacity when it comes to the offense. I mean, in a torrential downpour with two rookie wide receivers and Julian Edelman, they still beat a really good Dallas team. So
yeah, absolutely.
So again, here's to hoping that this is the Super Bowl matchup. But look, the 49ers, it's very obvious they have a much harder path to that Super Bowl. Even in the next couple of weeks, they have a pretty tough schedule. I did have it right in front of me, so I apologize. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But they're really gonna have to win. They can't really afford to lose any more than one game if they want to keep that top seed. So they, ideally would have to win out, and it's going to be tough for them to do so. But each and every week they continue to tell you why they're the best team in the NFC. And you look at the Seahawks, and even they didn't have a strong game last week. And the Seahawks are interesting to me because at times they look so good, and Russell Wilson did not have a good game last week, and I think this is. And I'm someone who's said for several weeks now that I think Russell Wilson is the clear front runner for MVP. I think if we're going to do this week to week, which everyone seems to want to do, and I guess that's just how we do it because it's the world we live in. I think this opens the door for Lamar tonight. If he puts together another big time effort, I think he's going to overtake the lead, and it's not because the Seahawks lost. It's just. Russell had another game where he didn't play great. It's not a knock on him, but in order to win an MVP, you really have no margin of error when it comes to mediocre play. You kind of have to go full tilt the whole way, and so I think this is definitely an opportunity for him to, especially on a national stage. We know how people, media and folks react to the national games. If it's the last thing you saw, it's the most important thing you've seen, regardless of anything else that happens before or after that. So this is a big opportunity for Lamar, in the eyes of many, to go and take that MVP front running lead. And at this rate, at this stage of the season, it's going to be tough for him to lose that because he's just played so well. So.
Yeah, and I think you absolutely make a great point, and this does open the door for him to be able to sneak in. I've been on that train with Russell Wilson as well. I've said that he's the clear front runner. I believed he would win the MVP, but you have to take a look at what the last two games were. And look, MVPs tend to do this. When you have a guy that's playing at a dominant level, and he continues to play at a dominant level well into the season, that puts him in the greatest position in the world to be able to take home that MVP trophy. And if Wilson continues to trend in this direction and Lamar Jackson continues to pile up these good games, I think it's going to be very tough for anyone to overtake him. So, yeah, this is a statement game for him. Now, if he comes out and struggles in any way, then I think you have the argument that Wilson probably is still either leader of the pack or it's a very competitive race at that point. But I think Jackson can separate himself, maybe even significantly separate himself with a strong performance here tonight.
Well, it's like, here's the thing, that the guys that were kind of talked about in this mix didn't really have that strong of a weekend so far. Again,
Right.
Lamar Jackson is notwithstanding because he hasn't played tonight.
Right.
He hasn't played yet. He'll be playing tonight. Russell Wilson had so-so game. Dak Prescott, I think was starting to get a little bit of love. I don't think he played necessarily bad yesterday. I mean, again, you have to look at the weather and everything like that and who he was playing against, but he didn't have a great game at all. It was one of his worst games he's had in a very long time. But even then, I kind of put him as one of those fringe guys on the outside of this MVP debate. So again, I don't think this like killed his hopes or gave him any better chance. I think he's just kind of where he was. But other guys, again, I didn't have him in my mix, but some people did. Aaron Rodgers obviously did not do himself any favors. I don't think Drew Brees is a candidate. So, you're talking about these guys. It's really coming down to two right now. And that's Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson. And again, Lamar has a chance to do something with this, and we'll see. I don't really see anyone else kind of getting themselves in the mix this late in the season. Anyone? I mean, realistically, again, we talked about Mike Thomas, and he's you can make a case that he's been the most valuable player, but we know how this award works. It's essentially who's the best quarterback on the best team or one of the best teams. So do you see anyone else kind of sneaking into this race at all, or do you kind of just see this as a two-man race heading down?
And no, I believe this is firmly a two-man race. I don't think anybody is going to be able to come back in again unless there's just some unbelievable turn of events where one of these guys starts to really show something, and then you can make an argument that maybe they're making a late season push, but I just don't see it at this point. I think these two guys, between Wilson and Jackson, they're the front runners. Yeah, we mentioned we mentioned Michael Thomas, we mentioned we've mentioned before on this program Christian McCaffrey and some of the good things that he's done. I mean, these guys fall off and they pepper their names into the discussion, I think, because they don't want to really admit that the MVP is a quarterback award, but at the end of the day, it generally is. And I think that's who it will go to again this time around. So again, big game for Lamar Jackson tonight, big game for the Ravens. I mean, they obviously they want to keep pace, want to stay with only 2 losses. They want to stay near the top and in the driver's seat for that first round bye in the AFC. They do it tonight, they're putting themselves in a really, really good position because they're starting to distance themselves from the remainder of the pack in the AFC as well. So, it's a statement. I don't want to say a statement game for them because they've made their statement, I think, already. But this only solidifies what people have been saying about them. They're expected to win tonight. They're expected to go in, take care of business. If they do that and they do it in convincing fashion, they'll remain a pretty top contender and near the top of the NFL power rankings.
Well, and that's the thing. As great as the Ravens have played, if they lose this game, that's going to put the top seed in almost out of reach. I don't want to say completely out of reach because they do have that tiebreaker head-to-head against the Patriots, but it would put them 2 losses, 2 wins in the win column behind the Patriots because obviously the Patriots are at 10 wins already, and if they lose, the Ravens would fall to 8-3. So it is a very important game for them against a really good team who, we talk about the Eagles in the past being so desperate. I mean, the Rams are desperate too. I mean, they haven't performed to the level that they had hoped. They get Brandon Cooks back, so that's going to help their offense for sure. But it's going to be tough going into Baltimore to beat this Ravens team. Now,
without question. No question about it.
These guys haven't played in 4 years since 2015, and of course.
Yeah.
This is back when LA was in St. Louis. So, this is going to be a first time for Jared Goff and all these guys to play each other. Obviously 2 completely different teams, 2 of the young quarterbacks in the league. I think both trending in different directions. I think Lamar is certainly trending up upwards, whereas Jared Goff has started to trend down. But, look, we're talking about a really good offense, a really good team in Baltimore, top offense in the league, scoring 34.1 points a game. It's just what they're doing is really good. They have a really good defense. And look, a lot of it is Lamar. I mean, they have good talent around them. Don't get me wrong. Mark Ingram, no, not Mark Ingram. I'm blanking right now, but you have him. You have Hollywood Brown starting to emerge quite a bit offensively for them. Obviously, Lamar is doing what he does. He's obviously the leading passer for them, but he's also the leading rusher. He has 781 yards on 116 rushes for them to go along with 2,258 yards passing and 19 touchdowns. So 25.
And you mentioned Ingram. He does give them a balanced running attack as well. You talk about a quarterback that can extend plays with his legs. Mark Ingram is just as effective in doing that. So yeah, good stuff coming out of the Baltimore Ravens offense for sure.
Yeah, and look, the Ravens, again, they're another team that has kind of, they've been going through a little bit of a tough stretch, and it doesn't get any easier because we just talked about the 49ers just a few minutes ago. They're heading to, they play San Francisco next week, and this is going to be a rematch, obviously, of the Super Bowl 47. Yes, Super Bowl 47, if I remember correctly, because Super Bowl 48 was when Peyton Manning got walloped by the Seahawks. So, never fail to mention that if I can. But
yeah, this was 47. That was the lights going out and Colin Kaepernick. Yep,
and perhaps one of almost the greatest comeback at the time in Super Bowl history. If we remember how crazy that game was, it was pretty wild. But
yeah, it was.
But yeah, look, Baltimore's got a tough schedule, and again, like I said, okay, no, I'm sorry. They have a tough opponent in San Francisco coming up, and then they follow that up with the Bills, and then Jets, Browns, and Steelers. But they could really, they can maybe lose one more game. They can't lose two, if they want the top seed, and I think it's a significant advantage for the Patriots if they host them in Foxborough as opposed to having to go to Baltimore. Just because you mentioned it at the top of the show, 18 straight games in the regular season, 21 straight overall at home for the Patriots. So they've really taken care of business at home, and I think that's going to serve them well if they happen to play Baltimore. So this is going to be a big matchup for Baltimore. I do think they win this game. I just think they're a better team right now. I don't really have a lot of faith in the Rams. I think it'll be a good game. I don't think Baltimore's going to run away with it, but I do think that they're going to come away with the win. I like what Lamar Jackson's doing. Assuming Aaron Donald can't be super disruptive on the line, I think he is going to be able to move around a bit and make some plays. So I'm really liking what Lamar Jackson's doing. And look, this Rams defense isn't as good as it was a couple years ago. They allow, they're not so bad, 268 yards passing a game, but at the same time they're also one of the it's kind of middle of the pack, but I don't know. I feel like this game just isn't the or this team isn't the same defensively as it was a couple years ago. They just don't impose their will as much. I mean, the one good thing they do really well is stop the run. So perhaps that's what's going to give them the edge against the Ravens, because of course the Ravens are a really run heavy team and their offense kind of flows through that. So how do you feel about the Ravens in this game? Do you think that they got the edge, or you maybe see a surprise upset from the Rams?
Naturally, as a Patriots guy, I'm going to hope that the Rams can put together a pretty good, effort, and they can upset here. But I just don't see it. I think the Rams right now are a team that can put together a decent game, and I don't necessarily think the Rams are going to get blown out here or get the doors blown off their vehicle, but I still see the Ravens just being the better team on offense by far. I think they match up well. Yes, you have Aaron Donald. Yes, there's a lot of defensive talent on the Rams team. But this Ravens offense is playing at a different level, something that I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with, even with Ramsey and the guys that they have there. I still think Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, and Hollywood Brown are going to find a way to make that three-headed attack very difficult for them to defend. On defense, The Ravens, people forget the Ravens are getting better defensively every week. They've got these guys healthy now. Their secondary has drastically improved from where it was to begin the season. They were yielding an awful lot of points. Really started, I think, in the Patriots game where you saw that secondary come together and be able to play some pretty decent defense, even lockdown at times. Their front seven, their linebacking core, they're getting pressure on the quarterback. So I see a difficult night for Jared Goff. Again, I don't think the Rams are going to get blown out here, but I do look for the Ravens to take this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think this is going to be a very close game, and you know, I just like the Ravens at home. It's hard to pick against that, and you know, at the end of the day, I think they're aware of the situation. I'm sure they want to get home field advantage, and you know, in order to do that, they really have to keep pace. And the fact that the Patriots, you know, after they have the Texans coming up, but Texans and the Chiefs, and then after that, I mean, it's a fairly easier schedule to close out the year. So you're really hoping the Patriots lose one or two of these next two games in order to kind of take that top seed. But if you drop this game, then you can kind of just focus more on the second seed and getting ready for the playoffs, because you're going to have to.
Yeah.
So, and we will definitely break down this game tomorrow. Do you have a score? I got a score. I got a score for you, Mike. I got a score for you.
Oh, you got a score
Ready?
for me.
I got a
Okay.
score. I got a score. All right. Baltimore Ravens. I already said they're going to win, so there's no surprise in that. 28. I'm writing it down right here so I don't forget. And, you know, I can easily reference it tomorrow when I'm right. Rams, 21. Very simple. Very standard score in the NFL. 4 touchdowns to 3. I think it's going to be a lot of ball control on both sides. Like I said, the Rams do stop the run well, so, you know, I do think that helps them keep this game a little bit closer than maybe what it should be, but I think at the end of the day, the Ravens come out 28-21.
And I like the Ravens as well. And a very similar score, believe it or not, but a little bit more. I think the Ravens are going to put up a little more on this Los Angeles Rams defense. I like the Ravens in this one, 35-27. I
Okay.
like them.
I like it. That's kind of like what I was picking for some of these other games, but it kind of fell flat. I thought the Packers were going to put up more of a fight last night, and they just didn't. So. But, hey, you know, you can't always get great quarterback performance play. So, no, look, we have a fun week ahead of us. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to take Thursday off. You know, it's Thanksgiving. Everyone have some fun. You know, eat some, you know, if you like turkey. I'm not a big turkey guy. But it's one of my fire takes, I guess. So I'll give me ham all day long. So Lawrence Guy, I know you said it recently. You're a honey-baked ham at the holidays type of guy. You're the man, because I agree. Ham is far superior to turkey. So I will be having that certainly this coming Thursday. But guys, ladies, gentlemen, kids, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we do hope that you have a great and fantastic week. Enjoy the Monday Night Football game tonight, and we'll be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and back on Friday to recap Thursday action of Thursday Thanksgiving Day games, and of course get you ready for Week 13 in the NFL. So, Mike, this was fun. Like I said, I love Mondays because we just have so much to talk about. I almost want to make this a 6-hour show so we can fit it all in.
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? Let's just go 24 hours. Let's just go straight through. Sleep be damned. Let's just talk about, everything that we can. I can ramble on and on about the Patriots for at least 12 of those hours.
Yep.
You can do the same. And you know what? We'll just piss off everybody in the world by doing that. No, just kidding. We do love our listeners, and we hope you enjoy listening to the show. We hope you have at least somewhat as much fun as Ian and I have doing this. You can hear us laughing at our idiotic, dorky jokes. But, regardless of what, we do have a good time doing this. And thank you for tuning in each and every day.
Absolutely. And before we go, we do have audio of Kyrie Irving reviewing the upcoming schedule where he heads to Boston.
Oh, my arm.
Yes, that's right. So, Kyrie, hope you get well and hope to see you in Boston sometime in the next decade. So, folks, stay tuned.
Yeah, right.
Snowman in the Morning's coming up. Give him a listen and follow us at FPC Radio Live. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8.